Judge President Mlambo, thank you very much for sitting down with us for an interview. As you know, we come here as the Anchored in Law website, which seeks to bring the judiciary to the people so that people understand the person behind the judge. So thank you very much for granting us this opportunity.
Well,
now, who are you exactly?
What a question. My surname is Mlambo. My forebears come from southern Malawi, but then they trekked southwards. There are those who trekked and remained in Mozambique. Some went further, trekked and remained and stayed in KZN. And then the line that I come from traveled all the way to the Eastern Transvaal, as it was known then, to a place called Richmond. It's no longer there because of the resettlement policies of the apartheid, but I know where it is. But they followed the Tsonga Shangaan trajectory. So when you ask me who I am, talking from that angle, it's Mlambo, Chibi, Tshwane. Then it goes deep in tracking my actual ancestors, right? It's quite a long list. I don't think I want to go there.
Well,
but I can...
You don't think you want to go there, or you're afraid of the time it may take for you to do so?
Well, it may be irrelevant to some people, but you see, my father is called Majonzo. And that's the one that you see or hear at most when the family comes together. Ingwana Majonzo. He was big, but then there were others, Lehuban, Mtembeni. You know, that's that trajectory. I can go further, but
please do.
Let me go to the other one.
You say it may be irrelevant for others, but let us be the ones who decide what's relevant or not. So you did mention offline that there are two strands of the Mlambos. What's the one strand? And then you can go into a bit of more detail on the one that you fall into.
Yeah, the one that I fall into there is the one that I was just describing, you know. But the other strand is the Zulu one, you know, where, I mean, the Izithakazelos of Mlambo are very rich as well, you know.
Give us 4 or 5.
Mabele, Mtilenga, Soshange, Mapisa, you know. Then it goes on, we are linked with the Mchalis, like the Mchalis are our brothers, Omakalelakas, and then the Ntlapos, Oskekete, you know. So there's a link with the Zulu Mlambo.
Okay.
You know. I hear there's another link on the Xhosa side, but I haven't followed it up. So I follow the one that's following the Tsonga Shangaan trajectory that I mentioned, you know. Yeah, the general ones, as I say, like the Tibanes, the Kibis, but if you go deep into the family, you now go to Olihupane, or Majonzo, or Mtembeni, you know.
No, I think when we do a biography or autobiography, we may have sufficient time to delve deeper into those roots. Thank you for that. I'm sure people know more now about your origins than they did before. Where did you grow up?
I was born in Akonuk, just outside Bushbuckridge, and until about 7 years, I grew up in Bushbuckridge. Then my father then chose the Swazi trajectory when they were asked whether they are Swazis or Shangans. He is the only one of his siblings who said he's Swazi.
Asked by whom?
The government of the day, because they were being asked to go and work in the areas where they come from. So that's when he was transferred to Barberton to work for the Kangwane government. You know, so that was after my 7th year. Then I grew up in Barberton, Mjindini. That's the township. It's known as Mjindini. Grew up there, primary school, high school,
Yes, give us a sense of the day in the life of a teenage Dunstan Mlambo.
Yeah. Well, teenage, I think I was already attending high school, partly at Mjindini Secondary School, but then I went to Tembeka High School for my senior years, which is in township called Kanyamazan, Ligazi, outside Mbombela now. So I was an avid athlete. I used to run the 100 meters and the 200 meters. But I did what teenage kids did in those parts, of South Africa. When you're home, during school holidays, you seek out your other peers who are in boarding schools, because we had a number of boarding schools. Tembeka is one, you had Nkomazi, you had Kumbula, you had Mshadza, so we'd find each other, then we'd chat about our experiences there and what we want to do when we finish matric. Some of us aspired to go to university, study law, others wanted to follow other things. But there was nothing much happening in those parts. We didn't have many options at entertainment.
So you didn't do the things that my generation certainly did. Hang around in street corners and whistle at every girl that passes. You didn't do those things.
Well, every boy growing up does those things. But whistling is frowned upon. We knew that if you whistle at a girl, she'll never respond because you're not taking her seriously. Yeah, you'd rather talk to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when did you first realize that Dunstan Mlambo was destined for the bench?
Well, I mean, I've never dreamt of becoming a judge. Throughout my formative years, even when I went to university, we would read of these judgments that were prescribed material for our exams. Would enjoy reading those judgments, One striking thing is they were all white men's judgments, and we would tease each other that some years to come, we need to see black or African names penning those judgments.
And this was at which university?
I was at the University of the North. It was called TEFLOP at the time. It's now called the University of Limpopo.
Yes.
That's where we were.
Yes.
But every year of my study there was disrupted by political uprisings on campus, because we had a heightened political awareness in that campus.
Were you yourself politically active?
I wouldn't say so. I was reminded of our life on campus recently during the funeral of Advocate Gabe
Lulingande.
Yeah, Gabe Lulingande, because he came in 1982 when I was doing my third year. At that time, I'd gone tired of these disruptions. I just wanted to finish my degree and go home. And he brought in a fresh brand of activism on campus, So I was never myself at the forefront of political activity. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the late Gabe Lulingande. How well did you know him?
On campus, I didn't take him that seriously because I was a third year, he was a first year. So, this segregation that happens on campus is you're a senior, he's a junior. What can he tell you? Yes. But one thing that we knew about him was that he was a troublemaker because he could rouse things up, And he was on the other side of the other side,
What do you mean by that?
He was a black consciousness adherent, and he was not on the ANC or UDM. Not UDM, sorry, I'm using that. The
UDF.
The UDF.
Okay.
He wasn't propagating that. So there was always competition between those two groupings.
So that tells me you were on the ANC side of things.
No, I was nowhere.
You were nowhere?
No.
Okay.
I was just a student.
Yeah. Okay.
But those were exciting times, and Kabelo really heightened things. He led a number of protests around campus, and you would find him in a number of areas where there would be serious engagement with political issues, So, that reminded me when I heard people talk about him, say, by the way, there was this youngster who nearly derailed me getting my degree because of his political activism until he went into exile.
So it may be unfair to put this question like this to you. Is it fair to say that the teachings of black consciousness as articulated by the late Gabe Lulingande almost served as a sort of an irritation to you because it was inhibiting your progress to completing your studies than you learning something from it and wanting to discover more about this new political philosophy at the time?
No, not the teachings per se, not the philosophy. It was the consequences.
Or the disruptions.
The disruptions.
That they resulted in.
I mean, I was on a bursary loan that if you miss a year by failing, you lose it. And what it means is then that's the end of your studies. You need to go back and find a job and work, or if someone else has money to give you to do that year that you failed. So I was looking at things that way. No, we welcomed, because I always attended all mass meetings. It was interesting to hear these people up there. I mean, we had a guy, a fourth-year law student, Mahlangu was his name, from Middelburg. When those guys stood up there to criticize a route taken by the university, like the university would say, we'll appoint a commission of inquiry. So some of them will tell you, commission of inquiry is a ploy to derail things, you know, because you then forget what the issues are. The commission takes time, you forget, you are lulled. So I always attended mass meetings. I was receptive to what Kabelo would be saying, and everyone else, you know, whenever they were on the stage. My issue was I want to finish my degree.
Yes, yes. May he rest in peace. Shall we continue in the second segment? I want to get more into your role now as a judge of the High Court, going on to the Labour Court and the Supreme Court of Appeal. If we can take it up from there.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Thank you.